Welcome students. Now in this video we are going to see the next heat treatment process, that is the annealing. So dear students, what is annealing? So annealing is the process of heating and holding the specimen or the steels at suitable temperature and cooling with the suitable cooling rates. So that is known as the annealing. And the purpose of annealing is very important to get the softness in the workpiece, to get the required strength, and very importantly to relieve the stresses from the work material. So this is known as the annealing process. And if you look at the purpose of annealing, what is the purpose of annealing? To change or to improve the mechanical properties, to improve the mechanical properties, second, to relieve the internal residual stresses, then to restore the ductility in the material, then to improve the machinability, the materials which are very hard to machine, so increase the machinability such of materials like say high carbon steels, then to improve the toughness, then to make the steel suitable for subsequent processes, so these are the main purposes of annealing, isn't it? So dear students, annealing में क्या होता है? We are heating, holding up to a certain temperature range and cooling with a slow cooling rates, please remember, to get the softness, to get the removal of the residual stresses, or to get to improve some strength. This is basically the annealing, and these are the various important purposes to have this annealing process. So the first annealing process that we are going to see, that is recrystallization, or you can say it as stress relief annealing. Stress relief annealing, which is applicable for all the type of steels. I will draw the eutectoid transformation only for understanding. Isn't it? So this is up to 2% I am drawing carbon. As you know, this is 0.8% carbon. Shear 0.025%, isn't it? This is a gamma austenite, this is alpha iron, alpha plus gamma, this is gamma plus cementite, and this is alpha plus cementite, perlite. So this is applicable up to actually all the steels. So only thing is that here we are heating 50 to 80 degrees centigrade below the lower critical temperature. This is the temperature range. This is the recrystallization temperature range. Isn't it? So we know this is how much? 723 degrees centigrade, and this is say 650 degrees centigrade. Okay. So in this recrystallization or the stress relief annealing, what we are going to do? We are heating the material, isn't it? How we are heating? The 50 to 80 degrees centigrade below the lower critical temperature, that is below this 723 degree centigrade, 50 to 80 degree centigrade uske niche, isn't it? And we are slowly cooling it. We are slowly cooling the material or the steel. So here what going to happen? There will be the relief in these stresses or the internal stresses which are caused because of, say example, I am talking about the casting. So when the casting is solidified, so during the solidification, what is the shrinkage forces? Because of that, some internal residual stresses that get formed in these castings. So these stresses we can relieve. So if I talk about the welding, in again welding, there are the stresses which are generated in the heat affected zone. So like you take the example also of the cold working. So because of whatever the stresses which are developed in the material, or the energy bundles which are stored in the material in the form of these internal residual stresses, are definitely get relieved in this recrystallization, that is stress relief annealing process. And dear students, please remember, this stress relief annealing process is suitable for both the ferrous as well as non-ferrous materials. Non-ferrous materials. Very important. Please remember this. So this stress relief annealing, that is the recrystallization, is applicable for both ferrous as well as non-ferrous materials. So this is about the recrystallization or the stress relief annealing. So dear students, so after seeing the first, that is stress relief annealing, we are going to see the next annealing process as the process annealing. The process annealing. So this is basically suitable for or applicable for low carbon steels and medium carbon steels. And if you see here, the eutectite transformation, so this is the eutectite transformation. This is carbon percentage up to 2. This is 0.8% carbon. This is 0.025% carbon, and this is up to 2% of carbon. This is gamma austenite. This is alpha ferrite, alpha plus gamma. This is gamma plus Fe3C, and this is alpha plus Fe3C. Now see here, the process annealing is the temperature range. This is 723 degrees centigrade, lower critical temperature, and this is the temperature range. Temperature range for process annealing from 650 degrees centigrade to 723 degree centigrade. So we are heating the steel, okay, just in the range of temperature range 650 degrees centigrade to 723 degree centigrade. So this process annealing is basically used to increase the processability. The processability of the components. Okay, so generally if you see the castings, okay, if you see the metal forming components, so if you see this cold working process, so when we are deforming the material above this yield strength of the material, so you have to provide the larger and larger stress or load because of strain hardening, that is material is become stronger and harder. So as material becomes stronger and harder, and if you go on applying the stresses, so definitely there are chances of cracking is there. So that is the reason why what we are doing, we are unloading the material from that region and you are taking that material for the subsequent heat treatment process, and that heat treatment process is basically the annealing. And in annealing, which is that process? This is the process annealing. Okay, so same way in case of the casted components during the strains in the solidification, or when you talk about the welded components in the heat affected zone, whatever the change in mechanical or parent material of their mechanical properties are there, that should be get restored, isn't it? And for that reason, or for further treatment on that parts which are welded, we are using this process annealing as a heat treatment. So very simple one, please remember only this is applicable for low carbon as well as medium carbon steels. This is the temperature range from 650 degrees centigrade up to the 723 degrees centigrade, isn't it? And it is basically enhancing the processability of the components or material which are getting casted or which are getting welded or cold worked, like that, isn't it? So this is the process annealing. So dear students, the next annealing process that we are going to see, this is the third, that is spheroidizing. If you see, this spheroidizing is applicable for the medium carbon steels and the high carbon steels, isn't it? So if you look at this spheroidizing process, again if I am having this eutectoid transformation, so here see, this is actually the temperature range for the spheroidizing. Just below the lower critical temperature, that is our A1 line, isn't it? Below the A1 line, that is below 723 degrees centigrade, and if this is 650 degrees centigrade. Okay, so this is gamma austenite, alpha plus gamma, alpha plus Fe3C, and this is gamma plus Fe3C. So this is the temperature range for spheroidizing. So basically, dear students, this spheroidizing we have learned in the tempering process. This spheroidizing in the process which is applicable for generally for the high carbon steels to increase the machinability. This spheroidizing is the process used for increasing the machinability of the high carbon steels which are difficult to machine, high carbon steels. Okay, so here what happened actually when we heat this steel, okay, of course this is the secondary process, that is secondary heating of the martensite, which is obtained by the rapid cooling of this gamma austenite, and when we heat it just below this lower critical temperature, so whatever the cementite present in this steel, okay, the matrix is of course of alpha, and this cementite whichever they present, it get converted into the globular form, or it is get converted into spherical globules. Okay, that's why the name is the spheroid, or it is spheroidal globules, spheroidal globules. So here see, by destroying the complete pearlitic transformation, we are getting this conversion of the cementite into the globular form. The spherical shape is known as the spheroidizing process, please remember. And in spheroidizing we are getting what? We can improve the machinability of high carbon steels. Please remember this, that is very important thing for the spheroidite or spheroidizing. What is the application for medium carbon steels or for high carbon steel, but basically for high carbon steel it can increase the machinability. So this is the spheroidizing. Dear students, after seeing this spheroidizing process, now we will see the diffusion annealing process. That is fourth process, diffusion annealing. Dear students, first of all, let us know about the diffusion. What is mean by diffusion? That is the movement of the mass from the high concentration level to the low concentration level. This is the diffusion. And when you talk about this process is basically suitable for the casted and welded components, where we can have the chemical heterogeneity in that compositions. So if you look at this heat treatment on this eutectite transformation region, so we know this is alpha, this is alpha plus gamma, this is gamma plus Fe3C, this is alpha plus Fe3C, up to 2% we are talking always. Please remember, this is 100% per light point, that is 0.8% of carbon, this is 0.025% of carbon. This is the lower critical temperature, 723 degrees centigrade. Now see here, in diffusion annealing we are going to heat the specimen. First of all, please remember that this process is applicable for the medium carbon steels and high carbon steels, where the material is heated up to, I can show you here, from 1000 to 1200 degrees centigrade. This is, if this is 1000 say, and 1000 to 1200 degree centigrade. Okay, so this is our temperature range for diffusion annealing, isn't it? So we know for the diffusion the temperature will be quite high, and for diffusion we require the time that we have seen. So here, so what we are going to do here, please remember this process is applicable for the medium carbon steels and high carbon steels. So here the specimen or the steel is heated from the temperature 1000 degrees centigrade to 1200 degrees centigrade, and please remember that it is very slowly cooled. It is very slowly cooled. Why it is slowly cooled? When we are talking about the components made by the casting and welding process, but because there is the non-uniformity, huge amount of non-uniformity in the chemical compositions of that product, to homogenize that is to remove the heterogeneity in this chemical composition in case of the heavy castings or the welded components, we are doing this heat treatment process, that is diffusion annealing. Please remember, note down these points. For heavy casting and the welded components, to have the uniformity in their chemical compositions, to remove the heterogeneity in their chemical compositions, we are applying this annealing process. So here if you take the example, and please remember one thing is that this diffusion annealing is always followed by the full annealing. So after this diffusion annealing we are going to have this full annealing process. So dear students, when we talk about the heavy casted components, if I say these casting components, when we pour the molten material into the mold cavity, so of course I am talking about the steels I am talking about. So when I pour this molten metal here in this mold cavity, so what is going to happen? So generally the low density particle, that is the carbon, is coming on to the top of this casting or top surface. Generally it is happening. Okay, why? Because if you take the high carbon steel, so it is having iron plus carbon, and if you see the density of this iron is around 7.8 grams per cc. If I take, what is the density of carbon? It is 1.24 grams per cc. So it is very lighter. isn't it? And because of this density difference, they of course but natural, this carbon is trying to flow onto the top surface. So what it is creating, there is a huge heterogeneity in their chemical composition, isn't it? So for that reason only we are applying this diffusion annealing process. So when we heat this casting, after the casting, when we heat this casting to the temperature range say 1000 to 1200 degrees centigrade, see, this is the region where the carbon concentration is maximum. So diffusion is what? At higher temperatures with the sufficient time, the carbon is going to diffuse from this high concentration level to the low concentration level, isn't it? And you will get, after this diffusion annealing process, you will get the uniform. If I take this white as this iron matrix, in that the uniformly distributed carbon particles. So we have removed here the heterogeneity in these chemical compositions in this casting. Of course, these castings are heavy castings, or same case in terms of welded component also we can have same type of metallurgy. So I hope it is clear dear students, diffusion annealing जहाँ पे केमिकल कंपोजिशन में जो नॉन यूनिफॉर्मिटी है उसको रिमूव किया जाता है, एंड the structure is become uniform as far as the chemical composition is concerned. And please remember one thing, that diffusion annealing is always followed by the full annealing process. Dear student, the next annealing process that we are going to see is the full annealing. So basically this full annealing is applicable for all the steels, for low carbon steels, medium carbon steels and the high carbon steels. So if you see here this on the Utechtide transformations, so this is lower critical temperature, this is 910, this percentage of carbon, this is 0.8 up to 2%. This is gamma, this is alpha plus gamma, gamma plus cementite, and this is alpha plus cementite, isn't it? So if you see the heating temperature for this full annealing process, so for the hypoeutectoid steels, it is 50 degree or 55 degree centigrade above the upper critical temperature, and for the hypereutectoid steels, this is the hypereutectoid steels, it is 50 degree centigrade above the lower critical temperature. Please remember, in full annealing, for the hypoeutectoid steels we are heating above the upper critical temperature 50 degree centigrade above the upper critical temperature for these hypoeutectoid steels, and see for hyper 55 degree centigrade above lower critical temperature. Please remember this is the temperature range, 50 degree centigrade above upper critical temperature for the hypoeutectoid steel, and 55 degree centigrade above lower critical temperature for hypereutectoid steel. So this is the temperature, and when we heat and hold it, so we are cooling here, very slowly cooling, it is slow cooled. So after holding, the specimen is slow cooled, and it will give the coarse grain size, grains or coarse grain size, very important. So that is why, please remember, in full annealing process, the structure that we are getting is the coarser grain structure, and because of that the ductility is improved well in case of the full annealing process. Please remember this. So basically the idea behind is that full annealing is used for increasing the ductility, increasing the toughness of a given steel specimen, and this is the actually object of full annealing. So if I write here for full annealing, what are the advantages that we are going to get? We are going to get the high ductility and machinability. Then of course low strength and hardness, and relieving of residual stresses. So please remember that this full annealed component is having very low residual stresses. Please remember, this full annealed component are having very low residual stresses. Now if you want to put this full annealing process diagrammatically, so we are heating this component, isn't it? This is the initial structure. When you heat, and holding में क्या होता है, uniform grains होते हैं. This is heating, enlargement in the grains and relieving the stresses. And after that, when we cooled, here slow cooled within the furnace, to get the coarse grains, that is very important, isn't it? So this is the full annealing process. Dear students, if we compare this hardening and the process annealing, so let us see some properties. So we are having the comparison for the properties for the hardening, comma, the process annealing, and the full annealing. If hardening is shown by the capital H, this is by PA and this is by FA. So let us have the comparison for the various properties like the grain sizes, then strength or hardness, then ductility, and finally residual stresses. So let us say the grains will be represented by, grain size will be represented by G, the strength is represented by S, ductility by D, and residual stresses by R. So I will write here the grain, the grains, and the grains. Here is the strength, here is the ductility, and finally the residual stresses are. Okay, dear students, as we know that we are having the largest grain size we are getting in case of the full annealing, and very fine grain structure we are getting in the hardening process, that is a rapid quenching is resulted into this martensite. We know this. So of course the grain size for the hardening is less than the grain size for process annealing, is less than the grain size for full annealing. That is the first thing, isn't it? Now if you talk about the strength, as the strength in hardening process, fine grain size there, the martensite is very hard and brittle, so of course strength is high for the hardening. Then full annealing, of course, just now we have seen the coarse grains we are getting, so of course this is having good ductility. So definitely process annealing will give us the strength after the hardening, and finally the less strength we are getting in full annealing. Ductility, of course, the largest grains we can get here in the full annealing, so it will be maximum in full annealing, then in process annealing, and then in hardening, isn't it? And just now we seen the residual stresses are very low in case of full annealing. So again like this, very less compared to the process annealing. And hardening, we are getting the highest stresses, residual stresses or the hardening strains because of this rapid quenching. So in this way we can compare between the hardening process, process annealing process, and the full annealing process in terms of grain sizes, strength, ductility and residual stresses. Thank you.